What's up, everyone? I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. World Finals for Dragon Ball FighterZ have officially concluded, and with them, we got some stuff to talk about. First things first, I'm not going to be spoiling the results of the World Finals. I know a lot of you guys have like an undying hatred for Fusions and Lab Coat, but really there were some amazing matches and some good storylines during it. So if you're interested in competitive Dragon Ball FighterZ, trust me, go give the matches a look. There's really some amazing stuff in there. But that aside, that's not the reason that most of you clicked on this video. And honestly, it's not the reason that I chose to make this video. What you guys want to hear about is what happened after the finals were over. And I'm going to start off by just playing this clip.
ですね、この場を借りてちょっとお知らせしたいことがあるんですけれども、昨年のエボでちょっと発表させていただきましたロールバックについてなんですけれども今、春頃に、Steam でのベータ版こちらの方を、実行していきたいなと思いまして絶賛開発の方を進めております。
So I want to take this opportunity to give you guys some updates. I'm sure a lot of people in this room are curious about where we are with the rollback netcode we announced at EVO last year. And we're currently planning a beta test on Steam, hopefully around spring.
Thank you. なので、ちょっとですね、皆様のお力添えをいただきながら、皆様のフィードバックをいただきながら、ロールバックの方は、実装ですね、完成させていきたいと思っておりますので、皆様のちょっと実装までお待ちいただくことになってしまうんですけれども、皆様のお力添えをいただければと思っております。
And the official release is probably going to take a little bit longer, but of course we want to hear your feedback as we bring this feature to completion. So I'd appreciate everyone's participation and support in helping us develop this.
ベータ版の詳細の方はですね、また後で、後日ですね、お知らせいたしますので、今しばらくお待ちいただければと思います。
And details regarding the beta test will be announced at a later date, so please stay patient and stay tuned for more information.
So the first thing of note is that they wanted to give an update on the progress of Rollback, which they announced back at EVO 2022. For those of you who don't know, EVO 2022 was over 6 months ago at this point, so people were really expecting a lot from them in regards to Rollback, because that's what a lot of people have been waiting for throughout all this time. I know a lot of people were hoping that they would say something like, you know, the finals are over, Rollback netcode's available now, go update your games. But honestly, that wasn't really feasible in my mind, especially given how Bandai has really handled announcements like these up until this point. What they essentially said is that they're working on it, and there'll be a beta in spring. There's actually a few things to talk about in regards to this beta because, again, we're kind of left with no hard date and kind of just expected to wait. You know, we don't know if they're gonna give us more information in between or whatnot, and they kind of haven't been doing that since it's been 6 months since EVO with no communication. So yeah, it's a little awkward. But spring is a 3-month span, starts at March 20th and ends in June. And so, you know, spring hasn't started yet. It does start pretty soon. And so, like, in worst case scenario, this beta could be in June. Which would be, you know, after Street Fighter comes out, and, you know, that's potentially another 3-month wait with, you know, radio silence from Bandai, which is kind of scary. But another weird thing is that the beta is only on Steam, which I also thought was odd. And the reason that I thought it was odd is because it's like one thing for them to come out and say that, you know, Rollback is only going to be available on the new gen consoles and PC, right? If you were a PS4 owner of Dragon Ball FighterZ, then you weren't receiving the Rollback update. You had to upgrade your console in order to get it. And so they've like kind of gone a step further and have now said if you own a console whatsoever, you just don't get the Rollback beta, which is a problem because most fighting games, and this one is no different, a majority of their player bases are on console. And so like those people that are on console, they don't have anything to look forward to even in the spring. So it's like one thing for people on PC to potentially have to wait until June for the beta, but those people on console don't have anything at all. You guys are just left in limbo since there's no dates or any like hard timeline given for it. You guys are kind of just left out to dry, and I found that very not okay. I thought that was definitely not the correct way for them to go about it. And like it's also weird because I would imagine that when it comes to implementing a new netcode onto a game, consoles are the main source of problems, like console, limited by hardware and stuff like that. Usually it's harder to adapt a netcode onto its infrastructure as opposed to like PC, which has been, running the entire time. There's no upgrades or anything involved. So yeah, I thought that was definitely really odd. And yeah, the last thing was that since it's only a beta, the full implementation, they said, at a later date, which once again is like no hard timeline. We have no idea when that's going to be. It's kind of just them saying like, trust us, it'll come eventually. And honestly, after 6 months of nothing on this netcode update, I just feel like that's not enough. But feel free to let me know what you guys think in the comments below about, the rollback and where it is along. Are you guys satisfied with it? Because I'm actually pretty curious. But I'm going to play another clip for you. We got the second part of what was talked about.
そしてですね、もう一個お知らせの方ありまして、同じく昨年のエボでですね、バランス調整の方は、完了したと告知をさせていただいたんですけれども、今年もドラゴンボールファイターズはツアーをやっていきたいと思ってますし、ありがたいことにエボでもメインタイトルに選出していただきましたので、今年もですね、バランス調整の方を再度行っていきたいと思っています。
And I know we announced last year that we completed all the balance adjustments for Dragon Ball FighterZ, but I want to mention we're looking into having another Dragon Ball FighterZ World Tour.
Okay, the next thing that they spoke on is that they were looking into another World Tour. This is actually like mostly a positive thing. World Tours are pretty important for a bunch of reasons, and as long as it's done correctly, they're a great way to keep, both competitors and viewers excited about being involved with the game. And obviously people still love this game and they want to watch it and they want to play it. And so a World Tour is like an overwhelming majority positive announcement. However, I will say I'm not sure about the execution of the World Tour this time around. And the reason that I say that is because since they're only looking into it, to me, that's not even like a guarantee that there will be a World Tour. It's just saying like, we have potential plans for it. I will say like it is most likely to happen. I think the chances of them announcing like there's no World Tour for the game is like pretty low. But once again, it's like kind of like ambiguity. Like I don't know what that means. I'm not looking into it. We don't have like when is it going to start? What events are going to be on it? Are you changing the format? Right? That's the main thing that like is. That I'm interested in is, are you changing the format? Because the format for this particular World Tour, even though the finals were fantastic, if you ask most players that participated in the tour this year, they would agree that the format was completely horrible for the players, and Bandai's execution on top of that were also bad, such as the situation with Garlic Bread, where he was allowed to play the entire World Tour, he qualified, and then they changed the rules at the end to disallow him from being able to participate, right? Things like that like don't make me look forward to a new season of the World Tour, right? That is like very, very scary in that regard. And so I actually did an entire video on the progression of the Dragon Ball FighterZ World Tour. I'll leave a link for that in the description. I think it's a great video, if I do say so myself, I'm saying, kind of gassing myself up a little bit. But if you want to know what I mean by execution of World Tours, definitely check out that video. I've already covered everything like very in depth. So that was the second part of their announcement, but there's actually more. And so I will play another clip for you.
And because Dragon Ball FighterZ was selected as an official title for EVO this year, we're working on another patch to further balance out the game.
ありがとうございます。はい、詳細の方はまた後日お知らせいたしますので、今しばらくお待ちください。
So please stay tuned for more information about when we drop this information.
All right, the last thing that they spoke about and what probably piqued most people's interest the most was about a future patch. In their words, since the game was chosen for EVO, they are looking into another balance patch, even though at EVO, they kind of made it seem like they didn't have plans to patch the game further. Now, I just want to be 100% clear with you guys. I think that this is just clever PR wording and not exactly the reality of the situation. I don't think they were in any way surprised to be picked at EVO. Like, they kind of made it seem like, oh my God, we got chosen for EVO, we have to put out a patch for it. I don't think that's the case. You know, EVO is an event that really goes out of their way to have great communication with developers and publishers to create, you know, the biggest and most prestigious fighting game event on the planet. I don't think they were surprised in any way, because these talks had likely been going on for months up until this point. And so, like, I think they're kind of using it as a scapegoat and to kind of dodge responsibility, right? And I think the reality of the situation is they dropped the patch. They thought, you know, this is exactly how we want the game to be. But there's a lot of outspoken unrest on the game. A lot of people are displeased with, you know, the characters and what they're doing in the game, the balancing, the character representation, right? People are obviously very not happy with the way things are. And instead of them saying, you know, we hear you, we hear that you're not satisfied, they kind of came up with this excuse that, oh, we're at EVO, so we'll do a patch. And I don't think that's really the case. I just think they really didn't want to admit that, you know, that game that they tuned to its final form wasn't exactly what the people wanted. Which, you know, is kind of funny in that regard. But the reality of the situation, right, is that there is going to be a patch. And so, like, that's the end all be all, right? And so the way that they did use this wording is that, you know, this patch will be out sometime before EVO. Once again, no hard dates or anything like that, but it is a safe assumption that it will be out before EVO. We don't know about the quality of the patch, of course. We don't know if the patch will make things worse, if it'll make things better, but the game will be different in some way. We don't know when, right? Of course, because, you know, the time period between now and EVO, you know, there's some months in there. So we don't really have an idea of when that will be. But, you know, some people are very excited for that, just on the virtue of, you know, the game is going to be different in some way. And so, yeah, it's interesting. It's like one of those things where I think they announced the patch, but they haven't started working on it yet. Kind of like with Rollback. Like, whenever they announced Rollback at EVO last year, I kind of feel like they weren't very far into the developing process at all. They just kind of had the groundwork laid, or they got the green light to put it in the game, and so they just kind of announced it. And so, like, in terms of, you know, what is actually in the patch or when it gets to us, we just unfortunately have to wait and see again, right? We're kind of left with Bandai's, you know, poor communication, and the longer that they wait without telling us anything, the more, you know, unhappy people are going to be. Of course, like, that's just kind of the way things are. I really wish that they would do something about the way that they've communicated with, you know, you guys. You know, you guys purchased the product. You guys have supported the game for 5 years, a lot of you at this point. And so, like, I just think that they could do a little bit more in terms of, you know, telling people what's going on. But yeah, that's my perspective on it. But feel free to let me know how you feel about, you know, a patch and whatnot. But yeah, and so that's it. Those are the major things that they spoke about after the finals. You know, me personally, as someone who has put in a lot of work for Dragon Ball FighterZ for the past 5 years, I'm not really pleased with the way that they did these announcements, because there's no dates, there's no certainties. That, like, kind of limbo that we were in for 6 months while we waited for some news, right? We're kind of going into that again. Like, it's a potential another 3 months of limbo, right? And so, like, to me, like, they should not be doing that to you guys. They should straight up, like, tell you, give you the information, tell you when it's going to be, and then go from there. But, you know, I'm not the average person. I'm not the average person in the Dragon Ball FighterZ community. There's probably a ton of you out there that are very, very amped to hear some type of update, the fact that the game is going to change, the fact that, you know, the netcode is still a thing, and that's absolutely fine. It is totally valid for you guys to be excited, and you should be excited, right? That's totally fine. But regardless of how you feel about what they announced, right, your perspective is valued. You know, I've seen a lot of discourse about people saying, you know, you should shut up and be grateful. You should feel this way. You should feel that way. That's not really a thing, right? People are free to feel the way that they want to feel, and you should respect their opinions, no matter what they're feeling, right? And that's all I really ask for you guys, is just keep an open mind and really take the perspectives of others into play when you have these discussions. But yeah, from here, it's like kind of, we just gotta wait and see. That's just kind of where we're at. And so yeah, this is where I kind of leave it to you guys in the comments. how you let me know, like, how do you feel about the announcements? Do you feel like it was enough for you? Like, are you satisfied after the wait with the announcements? Is it enough for you? Do you feel like there could have been more? What does a balanced patch look like for you, right? Are you just telling them to shoot the top 4 into the ground? Like, what are you looking for? What's your ideal patch look like? I think that would be a very interesting question to ask you guys, and I'm curious to see what crazy stuff you guys are cooking up. But yeah, feel free to leave a comment. I love reading all the comments and interacting with you guys. I do read every single comment. I don't get the chance to respond to every single one, but I think I respond to probably like 90 to 95% of them. You know, as a console player, do you feel cheated that the beta is only on Steam? You know, that's a big deal. So like, there's a lot of stuff to talk about. So leave a comment with your thoughts. You know, I don't care if you know, write in a whole manifesto, a whole monologue. You know, if it's long-winded, that's fine. All of my talks and all of my videos are also long-winded, so I'm right there with you. But before I sign off, I just want to say thank you all so much for the support on my videos during this season. I really started taking YouTube more seriously in the past few months. And I have been enjoying it a lot, but what's really made it rewarding is like seeing how much you guys enjoy the content. You know, there's been so many people that, you know, comment a ton, you know, either thanking me or adding, you know, adding their perspectives to conversations. You know, you guys are liking a lot of the videos, and so I hope you guys keep you know, keep enjoying the content, and I hope that you keep supporting as well. And on top of that, I hope that some of you decide to check me out on Twitch as well, because we got a lot of new community members because of the final this weekend. And so we would love to hear you guys, you know, over in the Twitch channel, you know, where I do stream every day. And we talk about a lot of stuff over there, not just on Dragon Ball FighterZ, but on fighting games in general, because that's what we are at the end of the day, right? We're a fighting game community. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.